Generally speaking, we always discuss with the White House, OMB, during the budget process, how many personnel we need, who we need where.
Answer is yes.
For
Have
budgetary
you been
purposes
directed
and
to fire people, agents, because they participated in investigations of the president?
I don't receive directions to do that.
Okay, let me tell you exactly what you just witnessed. Because this is not normal. That was a United States senator accusing the director of the FBI of lying to Congress. Not suggesting it, not implying it, saying it directly to his face. So, how did we get here? Let me break it down simply. When Kash Patel was going through his confirmation hearing earlier this year, the hearing where the Senate decides whether to approve him as FBI director, he made very specific promises. He said, quote, "Every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard." He said no one will be fired for their case assignments. And he said, this is the big one, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. Those were his words, under oath. To the United States Senate, fast forward a few months, and 3 of the most senior FBI agents in the country are fired. Not 3 junior employees. We're talking about Brian Driscoll, a man who literally served as the acting FBI director, Stephen Jensen, who ran the FBI's entire Washington field office and oversaw 2,000 employees, and Spencer Evans, who led the Las Vegas field office. Between just those 3 men, 60 combined years of service to this country. And then they did something extraordinary. They sued Kash Patel, and what came out of that lawsuit is what brought us to this hearing room today.
Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, thank you for being here today. You'll recall well in January at your confirmation hearing before this committee, I raised the prospect of politically motivated retaliation, and you promised me, as you did other members of this committee, quote, "Every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard and no one will be terminated for case assignments." You went on to tell me, quote, "All FBI employees will be protected against political retribution." And you assured one of my colleagues that you would honor the internal review process of the FBI. I'm not going to mince words. You lied to us. In the short time that you've been FBI director.
Do you see what Senator Blumenthal just did there? He didn't walk in swinging wildly. He walked in with receipts. He quoted Patel's own words, the words Patel chose, in his own confirmation hearing, and then placed them directly next to what actually happened. That is the oldest trap in cross-examination. Let a person hang themselves with their own testimony. And here is the part that I personally find stunning. The lawsuit filed by Driscoll, Jensen, and Evans, a 68-page federal complaint, doesn't just allege that these firings were politically motivated. It alleges that Kash Patel told Brian Driscoll directly that the White House had ordered the firings. And according to that lawsuit, Patel even said he knew the firings were, his words, likely illegal, but said he had to do it anyway, because his own job depended on it. Think about that. The man put in charge of protecting the FBI from political interference allegedly told the acting FBI director, "I know this is wrong. I know it might be illegal, but if I don't do it, I lose my job." That is not law enforcement leadership. That is someone caught between 2 masters and choosing the political one every single time.
In the short time that you've been FBI director, you've presided over a rash of retaliatory firings. 3 FBI agents have recently sued you. They are FBI agents with 60 years between them of distinguished service, rescuing hostages, saving kids from predators, dismantling drug cartels, and their allegations, their civil allegations, are a searing indictment of your tenure as FBI director. But it's not just those 3. The FBI Agents Association has said that your actions, quote, distract agents from their work, foster fear that their assignments could cost them their careers, either now or under the next administration, and increase the risk of criminal and national security threats by undermining unity and morale within the Bureau, end quote. This association, as you know, is voluntary. It represents 14,000 members, 90% of all the active agents. These are your employees saying that your performance has been unqualified and unfit. And there is mounting evidence that these retaliatory firings were the result of direction from the White House. There have been instances in the past history of the Bureau of political interference.
Here's where I want you to pay very close attention, because what Kash Patel just did is one of the oldest deflection plays in Washington. He said the termination decisions are his alone, not the White House, not anyone else, him. But then, he refused to talk about the specifics because of litigation. Now you might think, okay, that's fair. There's a lawsuit, he can't comment. But here's the problem. You can't have it both ways. You cannot stand before the United States Senate and say, I made these decisions, I own them, nobody told me what to do, and then in the very next breath say, but I can't talk about why I made them because of a lawsuit, because the lawsuit exists precisely to find out if you're telling the truth right now. And look, what does the lawsuit actually say? It says Patel told Brian Driscoll, the former acting FBI director, that the White House had directed him to fire anyone identified as having worked on a criminal investigation against President Trump. It says he told Driscoll the FBI tried to, quote, put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it. So either Patel lied to Driscoll in that private conversation, or he's lying to the Senate right now. There is no third option. And the FBI Agents Association, which represents 90% of all active FBI agents, put out a statement saying his performance was unqualified and unfit. 90%. When 9 out of 10 of your own agents say you don't deserve the job, that's not a political attack. That's a verdict.
And political direction from the director's office, but not the kind of institutional interference that we're seeing from the White House right now. I'm going to ask you, has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
I completely disagree with your entire premise that I have lied or am misleading the FBI. If I were, the results that I announced today by the men and women of the FBI and the historic records we are doing to keep this country safe would not be possible. The men and women of the FBI are responding to our leadership and this administration's priorities. The only way people get terminated at the FBI is if they fail to meet the muster of the job and their duties, and that is where I will leave it. And you accusing me of lying is something I don't take lightly, but I'm not going to get into a tit for tat with you.
Well, let me just ask you to answer my question. Has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
Generally speaking, we always discuss with the White House, OMB, during the budget process, how many personnel we need, who we need where.
Answer is yes.
For budgetary
You've been
purposes
directed
and
to fire people, agents, because they participated in investigations of the president.
I don't receive directions to do that.
Has anyone
I make the
suggested it?
decisions.
Has anyone asked you to do it? The best information is, yes, you've taken suggestions and direction from the White House in firing qualified agents.
Let me tell you what this moment actually means. Beyond the politics, beyond the partisan back and forth. The FBI is not just another government agency. It is the institution responsible for counterterrorism, for protecting Americans from the most dangerous threats on Earth. And right now, 3 of its most experienced operational leaders, men with 60 combined years of service, are not in their offices. They're in a courthouse, fighting to get their jobs back. Brian Driscoll won the FBI Medal of Valor. he led hostage rescue teams. He was trusted enough to serve as acting FBI director. And he was fired, allegedly, because Trump supporters on social media were angry about him. Stephen Jensen was managing 2,000 employees on national security cases. He was fired, allegedly, because of social media pressure from January 6th defendants and their allies. Let me be direct with you. Whatever you think about Trump, whatever you think about Blumenthal, whatever your politics are, if the allegations in this lawsuit are true, then the FBI is no longer being run as a law enforcement agency. It's being run as a political instrument. And when Senator Blumenthal said, "You lied to us," he wasn't just speaking for Democrats. He was speaking for every American who believed that when a man takes an oath before the United States Senate and makes specific, detailed promises, those promises mean something. Kash Patel made those promises. The fired agents have 60 years of service between them, and the lawsuit says Patel himself admitted the firings were likely illegal. And did it anyway. That's not leadership. That's not the FBI. And that is not what this country deserves. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Kash Patel lied to Congress? Do you think he was following White House orders or acting on his own? Drop your answer in the comments right now. If this video gave you something to think about, share it. Send it to someone who needs to see it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button, because we are not done covering this story. Not even close. I'll see you in the next one.